where am I catching you? Are you in California or like where are you based? Or Canada, right?
Uh,
Never
so
mind.
yeah. So I'm in Kitchener, Ontario, in Canada. So it's
Okay.
just started raining here. It was a nice day earlier, but I'm working from home. We've got most of our team working remotely.
Mhm.
Just we're starting to see that second wave kicking in, so we're taking it very seriously.
Yeah, for sure. And just to get right into things, man, I want to know a little bit more about you, like your background, how you got into where we are now with the O2 Industries and all the stuff you're doing. Like, yeah, how'd we get here?
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you a quick background on me because it's a small part of the story, and then we'll get into O2 Industries. Um, so my background, I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years, just opportunistic. Had a property management company that kind of turned into a furniture company where we were furnishing the units. And we quickly started importing furniture from mainland China. And that's when I started traveling to Asia. A good friend of mine, Peter Whitby, who's now co-founder and our CEO, he traveled with me to China, to mainland China. And that was really the first time we experienced air pollution. We were pretty lucky here where we are in Canada specifically. We've got blue skies, most of the time. And so it was quite shocking to us when we saw, polluted air, when we saw people walking around wearing masks, wearing face coverings in the middle of the afternoon. There was a specific incident. We were in Tiananmen Square in Beijing. It was 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and we couldn't find the sun in the sky. And that was quite shocking to us. So I said to Peter, I said, it'd be cool if somebody made a jacket or a piece of clothing or something that came up over your face that, protected these people from whatever this is. I don't know what this is in the air, but I do know that the face coverings they're wearing don't work to help them. My background before all of that was actually in the construction world. So I had a lot of experience wearing masks, respirators. I wore full paint, big cartridge respirators. I wore them all. Didn't like wearing them, but I wore them all. There was never really one that I found that was really comfortable and breathable. But anyway, that was kind of the kickoff to this thing. We came back, and I was running my company, and Peter hired a designer. He hired a seamstress, and he built this jacket. And the goal was to slide a filter membrane in it, which today sounds like not that big of a deal, but back then was kind of revolutionary for its
Yeah.
for its time. That's where we started. We started building jackets with filter inserts. We quickly realized as a startup company, it'd be really tough to bring jackets to market. We can barely dress ourselves stylishly, let alone create a fashion brand with a purpose of helping people essentially breathe clean air. And so we kind of stepped back and we said, well, what are we really trying to accomplish with this company? And we really drilled down after some exercises with some mentors, and really the mission of the company was to help people breathe clean air. And we live by that. We've lived by that since that day. And we said, okay, well, creating 100 SKUs of jackets for seasons and colors and fashions and sizes is not going to do that fast enough or efficiently enough. So let's just build one mask. Let's build a respirator, and let's build the best one in the world. And so we partnered with the University of Waterloo here. There's an air pollution research lab. We bought every mask in the market. We tested them all, and we developed this product, the O2 Curve, which is our first product in market. Since then, we've sold hundreds of thousands of these in over 110 countries around the world.
Very nice, man. So, I mean, I'm just kind of curious. You said you had your background, obviously, with construction and working with these kind of things
Yeah.
before, right? But do you feel like you would have this was the direction things were going? Let's say you didn't go to China, like if you didn't have that experience that kind of really opened your eyes a bit to like, oh damn, these poor people, like they need some
Yeah.
cleaner air.
No, no way. I mean, this was back in 2014,
Mm,
right? This is way pre-pandemic, way, pre any sort of, thought that you would ever see a city in North America with all of the people walking around wearing a face covering.
yeah.
This is, and so when we came back here and we saw the clean air that we experienced, we really felt that we needed to help. And so that's where it came from. We were like, man, we're so lucky here. We feel very blessed. We should do something to help these people. And so the goal was to create a product to sell into Asia, into India, into these markets that were these third world, second world countries that were that were evolving and had a lot of air pollution. So that's the idea. Now we're in a pandemic and everybody's making a mask or face covering, and it's pretty interesting to try to scale our company in this. But no, certainly was definitely the where the inspiration came from.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, right, we didn't expect the pandemic, and this wasn't, you weren't planning for virus filtration or anything, but obviously, I got to ask about like, this, it's good for preventing the virus spread too, obviously, right?
Yeah, so we've obviously got to be careful with the messaging, just from a legal standpoint, because of the spread of the virus and it's mutating, and you can get it by touching your eyes. So we have to be careful about the claims we make specifically for COVID-19. But it does filter down to zero point 0.1 microns. It filters our viral efficiency and bacterial efficiency are 99.997 on the materials that we use. So yes, it works very, very well for things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course. And, obviously, the big news is kind of, incorporating this into the sports world and everything, right? And helping out the athletes now. So I'm curious about how did that kind of start? Because obviously it was for just everybody, right, in the beginning, but now getting into sports and the UFC specifically, how did that come about?
Yeah. Um, so I guess I'll start the kind of journey of the TR2. So the
Hmm.
Tactical Respirator 2, that's this guy. This is the one that you may have seen last weekend in and around the octagon. A lot of the fighters were wearing it in and around. That journey started about 2 years ago. We realized there was an issue with lead inhalation in the tactical world, and in the military world. So we were approached by a few special operations units, which I can't name, and they asked us, "Hey, we really like your product. What do you think about, doing something kind of custom for us?" And so that's where it started. We brought on some ex-special forces operators, and we started developing a new respirator that worked for lead inhalation as a main thing. We wanted something that you could get a cheek weld on your rifle, so center cartridge. Um, this one has a cartridge respirator or cartridge filter instead
Hmm.
of the flat filter. This whole thing was designed with the operator in mind, so built with operators for operators. The interesting thing is we built it for fighters, and so now our new slogan is "Protect the Fighter," with O2 Tactical. And so it really lends itself well to the UFC, although not specifically designed for those guys.
Hmm.
It is for protecting fighters. Francis Ngannou's team reached out to us about 2 months ago, and they said, "Hey, we saw your TR1s. We'd love to check them out. Can you send us a bunch?" So we did, and actually in his fight, a lot of his team was wearing the TR1s in the octagon, and that got some attention of some different characters, including Ian Munzberger, who is a prominent kind of name in and around the octagon in the UFC and the MMA world. He reached out to us and said, "Hey guys, love what you're doing. This is super cool. Have you ever thought about working with the UFC?" And that's sort of where it started. We saw an opportunity to start developing a new respirator specifically for MMA fighters. Again, going back to the kind of thesis of this product, where it's
Hmm.
like, let's build it for the most badass dudes on earth, and it'll work for everybody,
Hmm.
right? So we built it for the special forces. Anybody walking around the street could wear this. It's pretty intimidating. You look like Bane, but it also works on the gun range. It also works in the construction world, the industrial world. So like we built it for the best, and it kind of works for everybody. So now we're like, okay, let's build a new respirator that helps people get back to the gym, because training, we know we can see it in the sports world right now. There's another NFL team that just went down because of COVID scare. So we are like, okay, we need to do something. These hard plastic shelled respirators, although they're fantastic for their application, aren't going to work in the sporting world. So we're like, what a better partnership than the UFC and the MMA fighters? They train as hard or harder than any other athlete on earth. So let's work with them. Let's give them the TR2s as an interim solution so they can be safe when they're in and around the octagon, especially on Fight Island, specifically for this kind of 5-week event. And then let's develop something that gets them back to training and back in the gym.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, this is a pretty broad question, but what would you say has kind of been the biggest challenge of I guess making I don't know, just the evolution over time to, help out the athletes and whatnot, or if there's something before that even, what would you say has been the biggest challenge about this whole industry?
Um, I mean, scaling a respirator company in a pandemic is definitely challenging.
Yeah, yeah.
We had, in December, we had 7 people on our team. Now we're almost reaching like 80 people.
Okay, that's a good good
You know,
amount.
you know, we've got like that's quite a growth in a short amount of time. So it's been balancing the growth, managing the manufacturing. We're setting up a new manufacturing facility here in Canada. We're setting up a new manufacturing facility in the US. We've got parts manufactured all over the world. We had issues with shipping and logistics and all of our supply chain getting held up at different borders because of you know the labeling of it. And we had to stop calling it a respirator. We had to start calling it different things just so we could get it shipped around the world. So it's been extremely challenging from a logistics point of view, to scale this company and make sure that we're really getting the masks out there to help people. So that's
Yeah,
been the biggest challenge for sure.
yeah, I can imagine, man. That's that's something I couldn't do with. So props to you for that. But yeah,
Yeah,
as
thanks. I mean,
for
even on the UFC side, we shipped, a bunch of boxes down to Las Vegas,
mhm.
and then they were going to ship them from Las Vegas out to Abu Dhabi.
Oh wow.
And like I think it was 6 boxes, 3 got through, 2 got held, 1 got held with the FDA. It got finally through. The 2 other was still whole. They finally got through. Like it was a miracle that they even got to Fight Island in time, you
Yeah,
know?
that's
So
crazy. Well, I mean, speaking of that, I mean, this was the first official event, right? That the partnership was active, right? So, I mean, you didn't go to Fight Island, obviously, but what did you hear? What was the reaction like from everybody? Tell me about how this first official collaboration really went.
yeah, I tried to get there. I'm still
Yeah.
trying to get there. Um, yeah, I'm working with them closely. I'm on the top of the list on the standby list. They're like fighters, coaching teams only, media, and our team.
Hmm.
And then they're working on trying to get me in there, hopefully. And so I was hoping to be there because this is something that is not a typical respirator that you've ever seen before.
Hmm.
It's kind of hardcore. It's really well built, but there's some things that you need to know when you're putting it on. And we didn't really get a chance to interact with anybody. So it was sort of like fingers crossed. And the
Hmm.
UFC did an incredible job of somehow getting them on these guys. And most of them, I'd say 9 out of 10, were actually wearing it properly, which we were like pretty blown away,
Yeah.
to be honest. So very happy about how the first event went. And I think it'll only improve from here. It's a multi-year deal. But we were like kind of in the dark, like fingers crossed that they even get there. And then
Yeah.
if they do get there, that anybody, they grab them and they go, what the hell is this? And they put on a cloth mask, right? They actually put them on and they actually wore them, and we got a lot of great feedback and a lot of cool content from it. So no, we couldn't be happier with how the first event went. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I mean, yeah, you said they do look a little bit different. Obviously, they stand out, maybe a little intimidating. It reminds
Sure.
me kind of like the training masks, I guess. I mean, I'm sure those are a little bit different looking, but people can wear these while they're training or, running, whatever they're doing. Obviously, you don't want to get punched in the face while you're wearing it or anything like that, but they can do some activities with them on.
Absolutely, yeah. So especially the TR2. So the TR1, we've got some high breathable filters. We call them max air filters. So it's pretty good. The TR2 is a whole new level. Like you can breathe, you can full out run. We designed it for training and operation. Again, for operators. These guys are already carrying 100 pounds of gear and running, up a hill,
Yeah.
and then trying to hit a target while training and doing what they do. So it had to be breathable. That was the most important thing, and then functionality to ensure that they're protected. Those are the key things. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely, man. And you guys started in 2014, like you said, and that's within 10 years that you're already working with, a $1 billion company like the UFC and stuff. So I mean, just overall, how does it feel to, that's pretty good, I would say, coming so far in a pretty quick amount of time.
Yeah, it's still kind of surreal. I mean, we as a team, we rented a twin movie theater for the event Saturday night,
Hmm.
so that was pretty cool. I was really hoping to be in Abu Dhabi, but it was really cool to celebrate with the team. Obviously following all the COVID rules that are currently in our city here. But man, to see these fighters and their teams walking around wearing them and talking about them, and like walking, like Costa walking into the,
Yeah.
weigh-in with it on his face, like it
Like,
was
whoa.
surreal. I mean, yeah, like nobody's seen it before. We're just launching this thing now, and all of a sudden you've got this, and you're like, is this real? So
The
we
most
had to,
viewed weigh-ins of all time too. Their stare down, right?
yeah, yeah, what? Yeah, it's, and because it's interesting, we designed this product again for like military operators,
Hmm.
and so but we can't share information about those teams that we're working with. So,
Yeah.
we couldn't have imagined a better partnership than the UFC. I think there's a lot of similarities in the fan base, and I think it's the exact partnership that we could have ever hoped for. So to pull it off, like you said, in a short amount of time is, yeah, it's humbling, and we put a lot of hard work in, and our teams work super hard. So it's great. We're just kind of trying to pinch ourselves and make sure it's real.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. It's awesome, man. I love seeing success like that when, hardworking people, hard work pays off, right? So it's awesome. And also in the news, GSP now, he's endorsing sponsor. What exactly is the specific of that? I mean, that's a big deal too,
yeah,
man.
yeah. We just kind of threw it all out there at the same time. I
Yeah.
mean, so this was something we've been working on for a few months. Um, we are trying to again develop this training respirator, not a training oxygen high altitude air restricting thing, um, but an actual breathable, face covering that actually protects the user, and you can roll wearing it.
Mm.
That's the goal, right? And so we couldn't have found a better partner. He's really excited about it. We did it. We met him about a month and a half ago, and we did a little interview. And he's really, really excited to be a part of it. He's seeing his training being affected right now because of COVID-19. He's in Quebec. It's illegal for gyms to be open. He's training with a small team, and you just don't get the same feedback by constantly training with the same people. Especially in MMA, you have to constantly be switching it up. And so, I'm not a MMA fighter myself, although I'm getting into it so that I can help develop this thing. But this is kind of what we're learning, is like, guys are really, their growth is being stunted because they can't train the way they used to. So if we can provide them with protection, so their whole team, their coaches, they can all be in there, they can communicate, it's sealed on their face, they're protected, and they can roll with different partners. That's really the goal. And so he's in, and he looked me in the eyes and said, I don't lose. So if I'm going to do this, we're going to win. And I was like, did we get that on camera?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of a crazy moment right there,
Yeah, because I'm putting that on my Facebook. Like, that's so cool,
Seriously.
So he's excited about the partnership, and we're obviously really excited. It's cool because he's a fellow Canadian, and he's, we can drive there. It's about 7 hours away, and we can be there training with him. So that's the goal. It was, how do we find somebody local that we can train with, and how do we find the best? He's a superstar. So yeah, we're very lucky to have him on the team.
Yeah, man. I mean, and the athlete's athlete too. And in terms of like this kind of stuff, couldn't ask for anybody better, right? So it's
He's such a
awesome.
humble guy. He's the
Yeah,
nicest person on the planet, and he's like actually like that. When you meet
yeah.
him and he sits down, you just look at him, and he just seems like content and happy and like centered.
Like a
You're
monk
like,
or
I just want to.
something.
How do I just? Yeah, actually, like how do I become that Zen? Like, teach me. So again, couldn't be a better guy to work with.
For
Yeah.
sure, man. For sure. And, I want to touch on this a little bit, but you mentioned you getting in to maybe MMA fighting a little bit at some point or something, training, whatnot. So were you a big fan or before getting? Obviously, this
Yeah.
happened with the UFC and everything.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I was a fan. I'm not a super fan. We have some like super fans on our team that
Yeah.
like study the stats every night, and so I'm always getting corrected at the office, which is great because I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
For me, I was an athlete growing up. I played hockey and other sports, but not really fighting other than at the bar occasionally. But yeah, no, when I get into something, we dive all in. So I'm on the innovation side. As I mentioned, Peter, my co-founder, he's the CEO, and he's crushing the scaling of the company and managing all of that stuff. And I really like getting my hands dirty and getting in there and really learning what we need to create by, you know, getting kicked in the face by
Yeah.
GSP. Hopefully not, but we, our media team's like, dude, that's the shot we need. Slow mo. We just need one. I need to see blood, and then we got it. And so, no, the plan is to get into it. I've got a personal trainer. I've been training kind of 4 days a week, and just trying to get ready so that I can actually, start doing that type of training. But when we started working with the military guys, I got into the guns. We were rolling around in the dirt. We were trying to figure out how to build something that will work for them. So when we design products, we go all in, and so that's kind of my jam.
Perfect. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I got to get if you don't have the experience yourself, I mean, it definitely helps to have a little bit of that, even if it's just a little bit. Right? So,
Yeah, well, I think it comes from like empathy, right? Like,
mhm.
if you're going to develop a product or something for a specific, especially if it's a niche world, you've got to have empathy for the user. Because if you don't, you just build something that they don't need.
Mhm.
So, what's the point of that? So focus on kind of, really diving into their needs and wants around. And the only way to do that is to get kicked in the face yourself
Yeah, yeah. In this situation, yeah.
in this situation. Yeah.
Well, all right, man. I will leave you with one last thing. This has been an awesome chat. I'm really happy for you and all the success, man. It's great to see, like I said. But so I'm curious. This is one of my favorite questions to ask really anybody that I talk to. But if you could go back in time, if you could go back in time to the start of when this all happened, what advice would you give yourself starting out?
I think it would be invest in people faster. So, I mean, we've now got an amazing team around us, and it's actually allowed me to, focus on what I really enjoy and what I'm really good at. But it's taken almost 6 years to get there. Over those 6 years, I was doing the shipping and logistics, and I was doing the marketing stuff and sales calls and pitches, and and so was Peter, and we were doing everything, and it came from a lack of cash flow, really. But the core team that we inspired, and they worked for almost free, and they would miss paydays, and they were our core team, like the OGs in the company. They have been there from the beginning. So I guess the advice would be try to inspire more people faster to get involved, because there was a big kind of lull where we weren't crushing it, and that was because I was like still focused on doing all of the things that I wasn't actually necessarily good at. And as a founder, I think you generally think that you have to do it all,
Yeah.
and so you do, and you're in the office 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, and we're still doing that. But at least now I'm doing, again, back to doing what I'm really good at, which is creating, seeing opportunity, working with smart people to build cool stuff. But we lost some time on Peter and I doing the things we're not good at. So that's what would be the biggest thing for me, is to go back and try to inspire more people to get involved sooner, that are specialized and good at what they do, and then
Yeah.
just support them.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's probably phenomenal advice, because I was imagining, like, as you were saying that, how I would have done it. And I am one of those people who's like, I can do it all by myself, right? You don't really think about it in the moment either, right? So, yeah,
Like,
that's.
I built our first website. I've never built a web, like, we got the domain, like it was terrible. It didn't convert at all.
Bare
We
minimum.
weren't selling anything. Where if I would have just hired somebody to do it and like bit the bullet and got a professional in, we probably would have sold a lot more product earlier, and been able to hire more people, and then grow faster. So
Yeah.
those are the things where I think you've got to be able to realize your strengths and really try to focus on that, and realize your weaknesses, and then find people to support you in those areas. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. I couldn't agree more. Definitely good advice. So,
Cool.
yeah, man. Well, I think that is all I got for you. Don't want to keep you too long. Of course, you're a very busy guy. So yeah, I will leave it with that, man. It was awesome getting to talk to you. And I'm really excited to see, the future development of this product, especially, in this crazy world. Hopefully we don't have to worry about viruses for too much longer, but it'll still be around afterwards, which is the cool thing. So, um,
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. I think for us, we really want to focus on investing in long-term plays. We're not a COVID company. We didn't
yeah,
blow up over the last little while, so we're using this strategic like growth to kind of make sure that we're spread out and we live long past hopefully when the pandemic's gone, and hopefully it's gone sooner than later. So
Oh, hey, you made it to the end. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you like this video and want to see more like it, give it a like and maybe subscribe if you haven't already. Until then, we'll see you next time.